Hey everybody, I'm Evan Hammonds for bloodhorse.com. Welcome to this week's edition of After the Wire. We're going to get started with the Santa Anita Handicap, the Big Cap, which to me always offers a big kickoff to the spring racing season. Now, there's always this back and forth between East Coast racing aficionados and West Coast racing fans as to who has the better horses. And at this time of year, it's really hard to get a gauge on that. But there can be little debate this year after Ron the Greek shipped to Southern California and ran off with the Big Cap. Now, California's top runner, Game On Dude, has been deferred to Dubai, and we're anxious to see how he runs later this month in the World Cup. But as for Saturday, we found out that those running behind him may not be all that. First of all, Gladding and favorite Ultimate Eagle were hell-bent for leather early, setting some of the most ridiculous early fractions we've seen in a 10-furlong event for older horses. With Ultimate Eagle and Martin Pedrosia on the inside, with Gladding and Joel Rosario pushing on the outside, they went in 22-1, 44-2. Seriously? Now, while they were ding-donging on the front end, Ron the Greek made a really good big middle move at that point, then seemingly caught a breather before being pressed by Jose Lezcano on the turn to gun for the lead. Once he got to the lead, it apparently was all over. Now, we're going to take a second to acknowledge the underrated skills of Jose Lezcano. He's a hard-working Kentucky-based jock, and he rode a huge races aboard Shackelford in last year's Derby and Preakness. The final quarters of the Big Cap, which were 29 flat and 26-1, were about to be expected off those early splits. The final time of 2 minutes and 2 was very solid for the winner. Now, Ron the Greek's big win while shipping east to west is the only one in recent memory for the Big Cap that I can think of, and it has me thinking back to Sultry Song's big win in the Hollywood Gold Cup back in 1992. Now, in 2009, Einstein pulled off the trick after a third-place finish in the Don. That Big Cap win came over a synthetic surface. Trainer Bill Mott nearly pulled it off in 2008 with Go-Between, who ran second to Heatseeker that day, but then he shipped back that summer to take the Pacific Classic at Del Mar. Our hats are off to Nils Bross, Adam Wachell, and breeder Jack Hammer for having what it takes to ship a horse across country for the Big Cap. And just a small feather in our cap, I want to say we noted Ron the Greek's big rally for second in the Sunshine Millions in the very first After the Wire show back on January 30th. Now, the last time we saw Hansen, he was wilting in the stretch of the Holy Bull at Gulfstream. But he's back. In New York on Saturday, last year's two-year-old champ bounced back with a big-time effort in the Gotham at Aqueduct, showing he is more than just a one-dimensional front runner. With Hansen's win and Union Rag's score last week in the Fountain of Youth, things are really heating up on the Triple Crown Trail. We still got a lot of races in Southern California to come. Hansen was running without blinkers and was fitted with a new bit for the Gotham, and he was easy to follow off his near-white coat. And he did break outward from post 12. And there was a cavalry charge among the early leaders that forced Hansen 5 or 6 wide around the first turn. Jockey Ramon Dominguez didn't panic. He was able to get Hansen settled in just behind the speed of King and Crusader before taking command at the head of the lane. Once he got to the lead, he looked to his right and ducked to his left, but once he was clear, he was gone. My Adonis, who was a half length behind him in the Holy Bull, was second here in the Gotham, and it was 6 lengths back to Finnegan's Wake. Now, it's hard to judge times from day to day, track to track, but Hansen's win in the Gotham was 2/5 of a second faster than Alpha did it in the Wither Stakes back on February 4th. The original plan for the Tappet Colt was to run in the Vinery Racing Spiral Stakes March 24th at Turfway Park, where he made his first 2 starts, but trainer Mike Maker now has said he'd like to run Hansen 2 weeks later in the Resorts World Casino New York City Wood Memorial at Aqueduct. Both races are 1 1/8 miles, but the Wood is 4 weeks out from the Derby and a more traditional path to the Kentucky Derby. Now, tradition's kind of been thrown out the last couple of years, and we do want to note that last year's Spiral winner was Animal Kingdom, who went on to win the Kentucky Derby. Join us next week when we'll dissect Santa Anita's San Felipe Stakes and the Tampa Bay Derby. For bloodhorse.com, I'm Evan Hammonds. Thanks for watching.